It is 6 o'clock. We are entering into the Windham School District Board of Directors meeting. We are going to open with our reorganization meeting. Before we start that, I just want to say that I had the opportunity to come to the Windham School today. Mickey, did you give to the two board members their booklet?
I did. She's got it right here.
Purple.
Yep.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're
It
welcome.
was a joy seeing the students. They were working really hard. They're exceptionally good at handwriting in the early grades classroom. It was really fun. They were very focused. And then we had a lot of inquisitive ones in the other classroom. Anytime a visitor comes, especially a bald visitor, apparently that's quite exciting. All right, so we are going to start reorganization for the Windham School District Board. How this is going to work is I'm going to ask any of the three elected board members to make a nomination. A second is not necessary. We need at least one person to be nominated. Do I have a nomination from any of the three board members for another board member to be nominated to be chair?
I will nominate Beth to be the board chair.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Beth McDonald has been nominated to be board chair. Do I have any other nominations? Pausing for effect. I have no other nominations. I will now ask for a vote. You will say yay or nay to Beth McDonald being the chair of the Windham School District Board. Russ Cumming.
Yay.
Abby Pelton.
Yay!
And Beth McDonald.
Yay.
Okay, that is a 3-0 vote. I am now handing the meeting off to the chair, Miss Beth McDonald. Beth, if you can complete the reorganization sheet, I will type it into the Google Sheet. Thank you very much.
Sure, I'll take a nomination for vice chair.
And Beth, you are allowed to make a nomination if you so choose.
Okay. I'll nominate Russ Cumming as vice chair. If there's no other nominations, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it's 2 ayes. Abby, did you want to abstain?
No, I want a nay, but
Okay.
nay.
So the ayes have it. So Russ is vice chair. So nomination for clerk. I nominate Abby Pelton as clerk. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Great. So we have our agenda. Reorganization is complete.
Authorized signatures.
Authorized signatures would be, assuming the chair and the vice chair.
It is, but it just needs to be okayed by the rest of the board.
All right. So nomination for signatures. I'll nominate the chair and the vice chair to do signatures.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So signatures. Anything else?
Paper of record.
I have to ask, did I hear Ms. Pelton say nay or abstain?
Nay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So paper of record, typically it is the Brattleboro Reformer. We can always add to that, but right now it's the Brattleboro Reformer if anybody has anything else to add.
It's fine with me.
Are you okay with that, Abby?
Sure.
Any discussion? Okay, so paper of record will be the Brattleboro Reformer. All those in favor? Do we need to do that, Bill?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor for the Brattleboro Reformer to be our paper of record, say aye.
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 And like I said, if you want to add something, just let me know. Anything else, Bill? I don't have the sheet.
Representatives to the
Meeting
WCS.
dates and times. Well, first, meeting dates and times. You currently have the third Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Works for me.
Okay, all those in favor of our regular school board meeting being held the third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that'll stand.
Truant officer, I recommend the Windham County Sheriff's Department.
Okay. All those in favor of the Windham Sheriff's Department being responsible for that, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Sheriff.
Sorry, was that the truant officer?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
WCSU Policy Committee, 1 member.
Nominations, do I need to take a nomination or just suggest somebody?
Suggest somebody is fine.
I'm suggesting myself for the policy committee.
Beth, you have been serving as the
Yeah.
chair.
Right. So, unless there's any discussion, all those in favor of myself continuing to be the policy person, say aye.
Aye.
All right, keep going, Bill.
Last one, I need 2 WCSU voting members.
I recommend Beth and the vice chair, Russell Cumming.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any discussion? Sorry, I should have put that out there. Nope. Okay, so all those in favor, aye.
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 Okay, so all 3. Thank you.
You are set, Chair McDonald. You may continue to additions and deletions.
All right, so additions and deletions to the agenda. Anything anybody wanted to add or potentially take out? Okay.
The only thing I'd like to add is the charges for the 2 votes in September and November for the school voting that still has not appeared on any of the pay orders. And I know I've asked for it on several occasions in the past, but it was something originated by the school board and is the school board's responsibility to pay for it. And we have a surplus in the budget, so I question why has not the treasurer, who I'm sure has been informed of it, doesn't include it in a pay order issue.
I can add that to old business, Russ, and I can speak to that when we get to that point. So we'll add postage for the vote. Anything else for additions to the agenda?
I'd like to discuss the masking vote that took place and that it wasn't warned.
Okay, so it looks like we have mask mandate listed here for new business. So will that comply, Bill?
Yes, that was asked for prior to the meeting. That's why I put it under B, under new business.
Great, thank you. Okay, anything else for additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, then correspondence.
I did not receive any correspondence.
I have a correspondence for you, Bill, but it's private and I'll make sure that you get it. You saw my email, so I'll make sure that that gets to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Any other correspondence? Don't you?
That'll come later.
Oh,
Mickey, are you going to do that during principal's report?
Correct.
okay, great.
Okay.
We'll put that off then. Great. Members of the public, thank you everybody for being here. Hi. Okay, well,
Beth, I'd like to make a comment that we move members of the public down on the list to probably item number 2.1, simply because sometimes members of the public discussion takes up too much time and we never get to agenda items that are on the list of the agenda.
okay.
It's just a matter of moving it further down, giving them the opportunity at the end of the meeting, because in past experiences, we've had 2 hours, 3 hours of discussion from public comment, and it delays the business of the school board.
Okay, so you want to add that to old business? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, just move it as an agenda item down where you have your numbers 1, 2, and 3, make it number 3, and then executive session number 4, and then adjourn number 5. But I just think it makes sense because members of the public, people tend to talk for far more than 3 or 4 minutes. In some cases, it's 10 or 15 minutes, and it takes up time that we don't get to agenda items.
Okay, we can add as number 3 and then make executive session 4 and adjourn 5. Great, so on to new business, the food program startup.
So this was a carryover from your last meeting. You asked to make sure that Lori Garland and Greg Frost were available for this brief discussion of just, the desire to take any kind of action in preparation for the food program startup. And you have a hand from Sarah E.
Yeah, Sarah.
Oh, my video, hang on. Ta-da! Okay, so hi everyone. I just want to give a quick recap and then present something that I'm not sure if the school board needs to vote on or anything. I'm just here to give some information. So last week we had our parents group meeting and I brought in Christopher Meyer from the Chester Andover PTG, who's also happens to be one of the main people from the Chester Helping Hands / Everyone Eats program that's been super beneficial since COVID started here in this area. I talked to him about our food program issues that, excuse me one second.
Classic.
Sorry. Anyways, so I told him about how we're having struggles with our food situation, and he thought because of our low population of pupils, which, as you know, I love, he thought it would be great. He suggested that Chester Helping Hands and Everyone Eats try a 2-week pilot program where we talk to a retailer. So for example, like a restaurant in the area or someplace with a certified kitchen. I have a list of some options possibly. So it'd be a 2-week pilot program where one of these restaurants would create individual meals for each kid every day for 2 weeks, and they would pay for it. And our job would just to transport it. I have, like I said, I have a list of potential retailers, like the New American Grill, for example. David could talk to Max as an option, or West River Provisions. I could talk to West River Community Project as a kitchen possibility. And I'm not sure if Erin's on here or if she even still works at Jake's. That could be a possibility too. I just wanted to throw it out there and let you all know that we have this resource available to us, and all we have to do is say yes if we can figure it out.
Thanks, Sarah. So the cost would be, that would be the parents, the families paying for it?
No, it's a complete donation from Chester Helping Hands and Everyone Eats. And the budget is $10 per kid per day that they would be covering. And like I said, all we have to do is figure out the retailer,
Okay.
and then figure out transportation. And then these kids can eat 2 weeks worth of meals at lunchtime. And if it's a success, and if we find that it's working, then we can go from there to see what else it could blossom into in the future.
Okay, that's great. There's also the Revival Kitchen, which is
Oh yeah.
and now in Londonderry, right on 11, just if that helps as far as transportation and in close proximity.
Who would be a contact point for that?
Oh, the gentleman's name is Craig?
Craig Smith.
Craig Smith, thank you.
Does anybody know him personally, as just in case we decide to like ask him?
Yes, Craig Smith, yes. His wife is
Jill.
Jill, who her sons went to Leland Gray with my son. So yes, that's a potential connection.
Perfect. All right, so we have lots of options for retailers. Again, we can all put our feelers out and see who is the most feasible and realistic to be able to do this. Like I said, again, I don't know if this is something that the school board needs to vote on, or if this is something that I and or parents group can just start looking into. Also, Mickey, if you want to think about this for a minute, not just 1 minute, but for a little while, and then email with your input. Like if it doesn't work for you too, then we need to take that into consideration. If it doesn't work for you and Miss Sarah, like that also needs to be thought about too. So if you need a little bit time to think about it, then you can get back to me too.
Okay, I mean, yeah, off the top of my head, I think it sounds great. Who's providing the food and the cooking, and like, how does that all work?
So that's where us finding a kitchen. So Everyone Eats / Chester Helping Hands pays the restaurant. They have their specs where it's 14 to 16 ounces per serving per kid. And so the restaurant gets the money, and they have to like do it like a nutrition guideline. There has to be like a protein, a vegetable, whatever it has to fit. I don't know if it's the My Plate standards or whatever it is, but so they pay the restaurant makes the food and puts it in containers that the money is also part of, and then we transport it.
That sounds really cool to me.
So it might be good to know who might be available for transporting.
Yeah, the transportation probably will end up being the most challenging piece of that, certainly.
Right, of course. So
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
Sure. Yeah.
So depending, obviously, if it's hot or cold would make a difference. But if it's a cold plate, it's less complicated. The bus makes a run down the hill twice a day. For instance, if it was produced at the bottom of the hill, the bus run on the way up the hill in the morning could pick up a box full of goodies that drops off at the grade school when it has to stop there anyway. That would make the transportation simple. There's plenty of seating in the bus to put a couple of boxes of food, as long as the food are in, let's say, large cardboard boxes or whatever the transport is.
I guess that would just depend on what time the food gets made. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it gets made in the morning, but if it's cold, like you said, that would be easier. But if it's warm, I don't know if you want to be like putting everybody's meals in the microwave. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work if it's hot food, but it works if it's
Right.
cold.
Yeah. So I wrote that down as a transportation possibility.
So, Bill, is this something that the parent group can continue to look into and navigate with the assistance of the principal as far as who would be on board to help transport? And then there's going to be the whole issue of if it is cold, who's heating it up?
Yeah, I don't think heating it up is going to be an option, if you want my honest opinion. If it's
Okay.
coming from someplace, we got to time it so that it comes
Okay.
here. You know, not hot per se, but not cold if
Right.
it's supposed to be hot.
Okay, so, but maybe a list of people who'd be willing to transport, Sarah, and then see if we can't try it for 2 weeks. I feel like that seems really reasonable
It does.
to try it for 2 weeks if we can find somebody that is willing to do it. I would certainly be willing to transport.
So this would be separate from any kind of food discussion for running a service, but it is absolutely acceptable for a parent group to offer this to the school and to arrange with the principal how to make that happen. I don't think you need to go beyond the parents group has offered this to the school. They can work with the principal to figure out when the appropriate 2 weeks are, figure out the transportation, driving, all that stuff. You do have 3 hands though.
Michael Pelton,
I'm
Russ
sorry,
Cumming,
I
and
can't
Greg
see the
Frost.
hands. Okay, Michael Pelton.
No, I just need to lower mine, sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry, you said Russ and somebody else.
Russ and Greg.
Russ, Greg.
My question is the duration of the program. If it's for a 2-week trial period, I don't think we need to meet the standards required by the school system for keeping hot meals hot and cold meals cold, et cetera. But if it
Correct,
goes
Russ.
beyond a 2-week period of time, you're going to have a wall to climb. And I think before you begin the program, you need to be aware of what the wall is. The wall is you need to have sufficient refrigeration and or heating facilities at the school to maintain temperatures of the food after it is delivered, before it is consumed, and you have to have a reasonable way of getting rid of the waste of the food that the children don't eat. And from my experience of seeing school lunches in Connecticut, sometimes 50 or 60 or 70% of what's served to them, which meets the nutritional standards of the USDA, ends up in a trash barrel. So hopefully Sarah has some pigs, or the farm has some pigs they can feed the food to, but it's, it's a matter of things like that need to be considered if you're going to go past a 2-week period of time.
Okay.
Thank you, Russ. I hear you. And are you able to email me all of that information, what you said? Like, where's the best place to find that? And secondly, all of the food is coming in plastic Tupperware, so the kids could put a lid on it and bring it home.
No,
that's
the
nice.
issue is meeting the standards that are established by the state of Vermont for meals with children. A 2-week period of time is fine for experiment. But if you're going to go on for longer than 2 weeks, you have a specific set of standards that you have to meet. And in Connecticut,
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I heard you, and I heard you say your piece about Connecticut as well. And all I'm asking is, are you able to send me the link that has all these standards and stuff? This way, we don't have to talk more so about it right now, because I have everything written down. And this way I can hear what you're saying and read it more in depth on my own time. And then I can also talk to Chris about it too and see if he has any suggestions.
I'm sure either Bill, Lori, or Greg can forward to you the requirements of the state of Vermont.
Perfect. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
Sarah, if you just go ahead and email me. If you have Greg's email, you can email Greg, but if you email me, I'll point you in the right direction. And I think Russ is just pointing out, I believe, that this is exactly what Sarah framed it as, which is a 2-week trial. Everyone Eats is a statewide program, and Sarah's actions in working with that group has allowed Windham, a school, access to that program, which is quite generous of that program, because that is not happening at other schools. And I think it's a good idea to have that trial. And then I think what Russ is pointing out is that it is a trial. We can learn from it. We can experience it. The kids are going to get great meals, but it is different from solving the long-term lunch program. So I think you're both headed in the right direction. And Sarah, thank you very much for doing all that legwork. That's the kids. I have been a participant in Everyone Eats, and it's fantastic food. So thank you for doing that for the students of Windham.
It's very much my pleasure.
Beth, you have one more. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Beth, you got one more hand. Greg Frost.
Greg.
Hey, yeah, I mean, to me, this just really highlights the issues of trying to deal with food at Windham, right? That we met a week and a half ago with, I think Miss Pelton was there, Bridget Corby was there, Kendra Novick was there, and there were 2 people there from Hunger Free Vermont. And the issue you run into is, as soon as you do commercial food, you end up having to meet all of the National School Lunch Program guidelines and the state guidelines. And so it does point to that, the need for a food program up there that is going to have to be kind of a more than likely some form of an in-house funded program, an in-house supported program, so that you can kind of, not necessarily have to meet all of that guideline. There's a ton of paperwork that comes with all those guidelines. And then the issue also is if we used Leland and Gray, was the transportation of getting food up to Windham and how you do that. Kendra Novick brought up that the Dam Diner does the Meals on Wheels program. So that is a place that is currently making food and delivering it. So they might be another option for you to work with as far as your test run. And it might help, the concern that Mickey brought up of having the food show up more in a ready to eat manner. Because that is what you're going to run into, is how do you keep the food, you don't have all the stuff in place right now to properly keep food and then reheat food and meet all those guidelines. So it just, kind of, in a good and a bad way, it's a great opportunity that I would highly recommend you take advantage of. And And at the same time, it will kind of highlight some of the challenges that we would deal with as we tried to move forward with something up at Windham. That's kind of all I wanted to share.
Great. Thank you, Greg. And back to Sarah. This is tremendous, and I know that the parents group has been working on this for a while. So I think this is amazing. My question is, in the 2 weeks, depending on how this works out, if it works for us, is it flexible in that maybe we don't need 5 days a week of lunches? Maybe there's, I got to be honest with you. I think we had one day when maybe Mary was here, my daughter was here. One day was lovely as a parent, not to make lunch. So if it's something that doesn't work 5 days, because I know there's different palates, I know that maybe not every kid is going to want to eat the food. And so I understand where Russ is coming from as far as waste, but you do have a composting. We've had a composting system for here
all the waste, yes.
forever. There's been a composting system. So whether it goes to pigs or just to the garden, then that's all good. So if it's something that we can really just try, I think that's tremendous. And then maybe go from there. So, and thank you, Greg, for making that suggestion about the Dam Diner. Right,
Yeah,
they
that'd be
do
awesome.
Meals on Wheels, so that's awesome. I know that the West Townsend Country Store would like to continue working with us, so I think this is amazing, and I would absolutely love to see it happen. So, Sarah, it sounds like maybe you're the point person on this for right now?
Yes, I am. I will gladly be, because this is something that I'm super passionate about. And I'm glad that you said garden, because that's something else the parents group is working on as well. So
We've had a garden for years, so we have the compost pile, so even whatever the kids bring from home, it doesn't always get eaten. It gets put in the compost pile and it goes into the garden, so it's never wasted. So we're gonna try this. I'm completely behind it, and we're gonna go from there, because this has been something that's been in the works for a little bit of time. And yeah, we're gonna do it. So Sarah,
Excellent.
you just keep us posted as far as what you need from us, and we'll move forward, because that's what this is all about, is moving forward.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So again, that is fantastic that is going to happen. Secondly, I just want to get to the point of, is the board interested in hearing from Greg about how that conversation went about 10 days ago with the kitchen, and what is the board's ideas about going forward on a food program, and any support knowledge that you are looking for?
Okay, I've certainly heard some things, but obviously, yes, Greg should address everybody that's here. I've had some input from the staff here as to how realistic it is, but for sure, no, Greg should absolutely address everybody that's in the room tonight, and for the meeting minutes. So yes, Greg, if you have some input, that would be great.
Sure, Beth. Well, basically, we met. I think we met for about an hour and a half. We heard from Hunger Free Vermont, and they they pointed us in the direction of kind of how they would be able to support us if we did a program through Leland and Gray. The real sticking point ended up being the idea of, how do we get the food from A to B? How do we keep it good? If it doesn't end up being good, and we have even a kid or two opt out with so few numbers, you would lose your shirt on it. We would need a commitment of a halftime person. We would need a commitment of some form of vehicle. And we would probably need a commitment of 5 days a week. And we really, where we ended was more or less like, we think that there's the ability to do something. Personally, I think it's going to have to do with some volunteers and through your PTO as a means of, like, maybe people donate money and then groceries are purchased and food is made and brought. Because if you run it through the National School Lunch Program, you run into so many guidelines to follow that just require a lot of administrative support, that require, and it drives the cost up. And when you're only talking about, 6, 8, 10, maybe 12 kids, right? It just won't be functional. And I would hate to see you guys extend yourself in a way that, all of a sudden it's only 4 or 5 kids eating, and you're just losing lots of money. So we're committed to continuing to work together and to try to figure something out. I felt good about it in that I think that with the right people who are willing to put the effort forward, I think something is possible. I don't know that we really had our hands on it just yet. You know, we kind of all agreed like something's going to happen. It's going to work. We're not 100% sure what it is yet, but we're positive that with the right people, you know, with the right mindset of wanting to put kids first, that we can find, you know, we can figure something out, even if it's like you said, Beth, a couple of days a week. Then that might be the route it ends up. Other than that, I don't know.
Greg, if I could recap what you're saying, based on your conversation with Hunger Free Vermont, representatives of the parent group, and then an analysis of the logistics and the money, it's your recommendation that pursuit of joining the National School Lunch Program would not be the best option at this time.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think that's your best move forward, you know, for cost-effective purposes.
Thank you, Greg.
Beth had to step out for a moment. She's having a coughing fit. So I don't know if you want to take over, Bill. What's next?
Sure.
Can I ask a
Actually,
question?
Russ gets to take over as vice chair, and Russ, you have a hand, and Michael Pilton.
Michael, you want to speak out? Where'd Michael
The hand
go?
just went down, so
Okay.
There we go.
there he is. Okay.
Mr. Frost, I was wondering if you could elaborate on refrigeration. Is there some sort of, I used to work in restaurants, so I'm familiar with like deli tops and walk-in coolers, etc. I don't know what the standards are for schools, but I'm wondering if there is some sort of standalone refrigeration that we could look at that would be relatively low cost, perhaps replace the area where the stove is currently in the gym, that might be able to house quote unquote cold food. So for instance, we're able to organize, let's say pick up at the bottom of the hill in the morning of cold food, that we could put the cold food inside of the refrigerator when it got to the school and still satisfy the state requirements for refrigeration. That's my question.
Absolutely, you could. Yeah, absolutely, you could. That you know, that's just kind of the issue. You need to get a thermometer in there, right? You know what I mean, and make sure that you're keeping it the right temp, and have a list on the front that says what the temp is, so you can always verify, like, hey, this fridge is 37 degrees, which I think it's, what is it, 36 to 42 is kind of the range they like you to keep it in, and so then you can verify that you're keeping it at the temp that it should be kept. And ideally, if you're meeting like food program, right, then as you warmed it up, if it was warm for you, you'd have to have a thermometer there to say, hey, we did bring it up to 120 degrees or, you know, whatnot. And that's why I say, I think that there's definitely something possible. And I think it's going to be a creative means of how you get there, you know, and it'll take just a lot of effort from, you know, from the people that you have there. I mean, you know, when you look at your ratio, right, of parent willingness involvement to students, you're at a pretty great ratio up there that you don't find anywhere. And so I think that with your small school and with your people that are willing to support, you guys could do something really cool, even if it is only 2 or 3 days a week, but it's a couple of days a week that parents are like, hey, I don't have to make a sandwich today, you know, or whatever. So, and yeah, I think we could do something for minimal cost as far as getting the equipment. We may even end up having some stuff come available in some of the other schools. So
Great, thanks, Greg. I think
Yeah, that's great. I was going to say, like, our deli top, which has a digital read thermometer on the front of it, you can buy brand new for like $1,000. If that would fit the bill, then there we go. We'd be all set to go. We just need to get the food and get it there.
Greg, could you get a list of vendors at the school district that already participates with? And they might have some used equipment or free equipment that could be delivered to the school, like liter distribution, something like that. They may have an old fridge that is in working condition that they might donate, or whoever you use for your food service suppliers. They are often very helpful in giving free equipment.
I can do that. Yeah, we also, as I was saying, we have the potential of there's actually a refrigerator. Yeah, there will be a couple of things that are kind of coming available as we're we're kind of reorganizing a little bit in West River. So, and then people don't really have a great place to store a giant refrigerator or a, not giant, but a big white box. And so we may very well be able to get you guys something up there that is going to be in, fine working condition and would suit, the needs that you have.
Great. Thank you, Greg, Michael, and Aaron, for adding that information. Are there any other hands, Bill? I can't see hands, so if you could.
Lori has a hand up.
Lori.
Hey, everybody. So I just want to throw in some financial information for you as well at this point, as you're considering different options. Mickey and I met, was it last week, Mickey?
Yep.
Okay. And we discussed the conversation before has come up about grant funds, right? There's so many grant funds out there right now. And we met and made a plan to basically the new halftime position of the teacher. We're going to fund that through ESSER 1 and ESSER 2. So what that's going to do in your fiscal year 23 budget is that's going to free up some cash, basically, right? So we're going to put the teacher, the halftime teacher, into the grants, and it will free up about $25,000. Okay, so that's number one. And then we also talked about the REAP money, which Mickey will probably go into in his report. I would maybe about summer and potentially increasing the counseling. So I just, I want that to be part of the conversation is that the reason we're doing that is because by doing that, we're putting an allowable cost into the grant to free up money to be able to do something that would not be necessarily allowable or would be complicated to do through the grant. So I just wanted you to have that information tonight.
Great, thank you. That's really good to know. Is there, just so anybody knows, I'm coughing because I was moving hay just about a half hour ago before I got here. So I've got a lot of dust in my face. Anything else about, I feel like this is really positive. We've started with we've been doing this for years, trying to figure it out. Anyway, we're starting with something, we're moving forward. So I would like just to continue this conversation. And I think the 2-week program looks good. And potentially, as Erin said, looking at vendors who might have equipment that we could use here in the school is, I think it's really helpful. So I appreciate that. Is there anybody else that has anything to say about the food program? So
when you move on to item B, just to let you know, Lori and Greg will be leaving for the evening.
All right, wait, before they go, is there anything else? I didn't see anything. All right, that's fine. I hold little power, but I guess I have that. So thank you.
Hey, real quick, I got a question, Beth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Beth, are we putting a boiler in that place or what?
You know what? Russ had mentioned that adding, oh shoot, I'm sorry. Russ did send that email about discussing the boiler along with the town vote and the postage. Bill, can we slip that in there real quick?
I would suggest. I would suggest, as the chair, you have the power to just bring that up right now, and I would go ahead and do it so that you can talk to Mr. Frost and Miss Garland, and then they can leave after that discussion.
Greg and Lori, I would love nothing more than to talk about the boiler right now. And I'm sorry, Russ did bring it up in an email, and I'm sorry that I didn't add that when we started. So, Greg, you're on.
Yes, it is riveting conversation, boiler talk. So today we got the notification that the indoor air quality grant money finally came through. They are not willing to help us. I sent out our boiler to Efficiency Vermont. We can't really get a help through that grant, but what is going to happen is it's going to be a gigantic money grab, and the vendors and whatnot are going to start to get just swamped. And so I would love to, if you all are comfortable with this and ready to move forward, that we just are able to call them tomorrow with a PO number and say, hey, you know what, order that and get it going before you get completely swamped by the rest of the state. That's my only reason for kind of pushing the discussion, I guess. I was under the impression we were all okay with it, and we'll actually have to work with Suburban Propane to put in a sniffer, as Russ likes to call it, because it's not something that Alliance does. He said you'd have to do it through your propane company, so doesn't seem.
I'm 100% in support of moving ahead with the boiler. I think it's very important that we get it done. We have surplus funds in our budget that we can use to pay for it. I think it's an important time of the year to schedule it because it could be done over the summertime. It's not going to happen for probably 60 days. And when it does start, the kids will be on vacation this summer. So I think it's very timely to move ahead with it. I'm 100% in support of it.
Thank you, Russ. So Bill, am I making a motion to move forward with the PO for the boiler?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay, two things. One, you have a hand with Michael Pelton. Two, we didn't put it on the agenda, so we're not going to make a motion, but we can just direct to make it happen. That's different.
All right, so Michael Pelton.
My question is the money. I realize that you have a surplus in the budget. My understanding is that it would cover part of it. I don't remember the exact figures now, but where does the rest of the money come from? Do we run as in deficit and then we take care of it at the end of the year of the new budget, or is that something that comes from somewhere else?
Good question. Very good question, Michael. Lori or Greg, thoughts?
I defer to Miss Garland.
If you
Smart.
recall, the last time that we all met, which was last month, and I shared a profit and loss board report for all of you, which shows the potential fund balance at the end of fiscal year 22 to be around $93,000. Can change over the next few months, but I think you have enough to get that boiler done. What was it, 27,000? I think we were looking at, Greg.
It was 23,000 plus some allocation for a separate propane tank, and I think we allocated something like 27 or 28,000.
Yeah, the only reason I feel comfortable about moving forward with this and not being on the agenda is because this has been previously discussed at 3 previous board meetings,
Right.
with financials being disclosed. So if the board wants to move forward with this, it'll just be a direction to the superintendent to go ahead and make this happen. So what is the will of the board?
I say go ahead.
I would like you to, get this going with the support of, it sounds like Greg and Lori are behind it. So yes, I see a thumbs up from Greg. So yes.
And Abby, are you okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then I feel comfortable with the 3 board members directing on a previous conversation to allocate money that has already been shared with the board and the public to move forward on that project.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding was about 25 grand. So that sounds great. Thank you very much, Greg and Lori. I appreciate it. And goodbye.
Yeah, I'll send you all once we get it moving. As soon as I get a potential install date or whatever, I'll let you know. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Michael has his hand up. I don't know if he left it or if he has something more to say.
No, I'm distracted. I got feeding kids and
Really?
whatnot.
Come
Sorry.
on. What? Distraction? Come on. All right.
All right.
Keep going, Beth.
So next on to the mask mandate. Abby, did you want to discuss this?
Yeah, just that it was not warned. So I don't think the vote should count, and that maybe we can stick with the guidance which currently has the kids unmasked. Reasoning behind that too is regardless of where you stand on either side of the issue, there's a domino effect of what happens. And those families need to figure out, we need to have a better plan. So that's kind of when they have the guidance that you follow. Those pieces are considered in that guidance as far as all of the educators and everybody involved. So that's just my thoughts on that.
No, Abby, thank you very much for bringing that up. So let me just give a little recap here. So the board in August of 21 voted to follow the Vermont Department of Health and the Agency of Education COVID-19 memorandums guidance. The board followed that all the way through until the 28th, or 24th, is that correct? 24th? You had a meeting that was for specifically for a special meeting to discuss the budget. At that meeting, a decision was made to not to follow the AOE guidance, but to remove the masks at that time. I do agree with Abby that because it was a special meeting and it wasn't on the warning, it is not something that should have occurred. We are now past the point where that is actually in effect, because as of March 14th, which is yesterday, the AOE guidance was rescinded. So the standing motion from the board goes back to August, which is to follow the AOE and VDH guidance, which was rescinded yesterday. So if the board is going to decide to reinsert masks not being optional, then that would require a motion and a second discussion and a vote. Because it is on the agenda, it is able for the board to go ahead and have a board member go ahead and make that motion, and then have a second, then have discussion, and then have a new separate vote. But currently, right now, the board is operating under their original decision, which is to follow the guidance, which has been rescinded as of yesterday. You have a hand in Miss Corby.
So, Bill, I do have a question. If the board, holds a vote and they decide we are going to adopt the mask mandate back, the state has dropped all of its guidance. So if we say, no, we are not masking our children, it is no longer required, like, do we have to? I mean, it's not required by the state any longer.
That is a very good question. I think probably a common question. It would be my anticipation during discussion to give advice to the board that if they were going to contemplate a motion where the guidance has already been rescinded, so the guidance is gone. There is nothing to base a decision upon because it doesn't exist anymore. So my advice during discussion would be that the board hold off on making a decision until I can contact the board's attorney so that the board doesn't make a decision that doesn't have any backing like the original decision in August, which was to follow the Vermont Department of Health. So I guess I'm basically saying that before the motion has been made, but that was my anticipation is during discussion, I would say exactly what I just said.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion about the masks?
There's another hand from Mr. Pelton.
Michael.
I guess my question, Bill, is given it's been rescinded, if there was further guidance that was put out by the AOE, would the board then reconsider that, or do we fall under it's the parent's choice policy?
Bill, can I answer that, please? Can you let me answer that?
You are the chair. Go ahead.
Yes. So, Michael, I made a mistake, and I will never, ever, as long as I'm on this board, and anyway, I will never make that mistake again. So yes, we will continue, as we have continued until my failing 2 weeks ago. We have followed the AOE. I have been a huge supporter of Bill Anton and his guidance. I made a mistake trying to make everybody happy, and I will no longer do that. I'm sorry. Anybody online, I will continue to follow the government. I will continue to follow my superintendent. So yes, from now on, if something comes out from the AOE, yes, I am in touch with Bill Anton all the time. I made a mistake. It's one time and it will never ever happen again. And if we could possibly just move forward from this, you have my guarantee. Michael, Abby, anybody else, which I think that's it. I will never do it again. I think I've apologized up and down, but yes, I'm going to answer for the superintendent. He's the head guy, but I'm the chair, and I'm telling you, I've learned from my mistake. It will never happen again. So if the AOE comes out and says we're all putting masks on tomorrow, we're putting masks on tomorrow. But for right now, I do not want to go back to the parents and ask them to change that when the state has made their decision to forego masks for now. But if it comes back that we need to put masks on again, then I am all for it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Beth, you do not have to apologize. All I was trying to ascertain was whether if the AOE guidance came out with it, was whether it was something that we would consider or have to consider again. And that's really all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bill,
So just to follow up on both of those conversations. So the process would be is that if we go under a state of emergency, we must follow. If it is not in a state of emergency and it is a recommendation as it was in August, I would bring it forth before the board would discuss, the board would vote, and that's what we would follow. So the process would look exactly like it did in August. If it is not a state of emergency, if it is a state of emergency, the board would not have a choice. So just, Michael, I really appreciate the question because it's important to get the clarification out there. And Beth, I will just personally say to you that I have the utmost confidence that you always are trying to serve your community, and we are infallible human beings. And I make my share of mistakes daily. I get to make multiple decisions that upset multiple people every single day, and it's not fun. So I understand where you're coming from. We do have a hand, Bridget Blanchard.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you, Beth, for listening to some of the parents who didn't want the kids in masks anymore. And I really appreciate you bringing it to light. And we, after talking about it in the last 2 or 3 meetings. So I'm not mad at you. I'm really happy that you took the initiative to do what you did. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Bridget. Anything else about the masks? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to old business. We have here approved minutes of February 24th, 2022. Were these the minutes that Carolyn brought up, Bill?
I believe these are the ones that Peter sent to you within the last 6 hours.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Peter. I did not see those. I was at my computer this morning and haven't seen them since. Can we move those to the next meeting?
Absolutely. There's zero rush. That's the beauty of minutes. We would rather have them be correct than we would have them be speedy.
Great. Thank you, Peter. I have not had a chance to look at them, so I appreciate your time, and I will look at them and we'll revisit that at the April meeting. Next is principal report.
I don't know if these are the minutes he's talking about, Beth, but this was all sitting right there.
I'm not reading right now.
Come on, you can
Thank
scan
you.
real quick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna stand up, if that's okay. I don't know if you need to readjust. It was pointed out to me last month, that there was like a really cool visual effect happening with me and the TV, and like it was an infinite picture of me, which to me sounds wonderful. For others, that may be a nightmare. But I'm trying to recreate it again, just for you, Jackson, if you're out there. Okay, this month we began the Ames Web Progress Monitoring. This is used to help check in with students who did not score above the 50th percentile in either the language arts or the math benchmark assessment that was administered last month. This will be done every couple of weeks to monitor improvements and see if any interventions need to be implemented. Parent-teacher conferences are set up for this week on Thursday afternoons starting at noon. The Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium, or SBAC window, has just opened for year-end assessments to be done for students in grades 3 through 6. This is the assessment used by all Vermont schools to assess progress over the course of an entire school year. Here at our school, we will wait until closer to the end of May to administer this, with the hopes of packing in as much instruction as we can before assessing. Mr. PJ will attend a grade level meeting on March 30th in Dutton Gym at Leland and Gray. On this day, he will work with the other grade level teachers to discuss curriculum and instruction. It is typically a great day for the teachers to share and bond with one another as well. On the agenda for this meeting are topics such as math menus, sharing resources, prioritizing student outcomes, and math literacy. It is with very mixed emotions that I must report to you that Sarah Wonderly will not be returning for the next school year. She has accepted a job at Saxons River Elementary School as the administrative assistant to my former colleague, Laura Hazard. I am super happy and excited for her to get this opportunity to work at the school her children attended, as well as to work with someone as amazing and organized as Laura is. I am sure it will be a nice change for Sarah in that regard. She has given me a letter to read to you all, which I will do at the end of my report. On Friday, February 18th, the day before our February break, the generator was serviced back to working order. As a result of it not working at that time, we had the day off because there was not power here at the school. With it now fixed, we should not have to miss any more days due to power outages. The final day for winter sports is scheduled for Wednesday, March 23rd, provided there's enough snow at Stratton to get to that day. The creation of the swimming option was a great addition to our program this year. Many students really improved from being very uncomfortable in the water to jumping in, swimming underwater, and learning some of the proper strokes to swim the full length of the pool. On Tuesday, March 8th, Mr. PJ met with Lori Garland to go over our grant funding and spending, as Lori has already referenced. Lori had the idea of using our ESSER funds to offset the cost of hiring a new primary grade teacher for next year, so that would free up $24,000 for the board to possibly use on capital improvements like the kitchen or the boiler. Additionally, we used the REAP funds to add an additional half day of counseling services with our current counselor, Elizabeth Samansky, and a week-long half-day summer school program like the one we ran last summer. Just this afternoon, I received confirmation from Elizabeth that she has been approved to add the extra half day for next school year, so she will be here twice a week, which is really great.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that was really exciting
That's
to
a
pull that
Leland-
all together.
Leland and Gray graduate?
Correct, yes, former Leland Gray student, and she really enjoys being here. Here's a letter from Miss Wonderly. Dear Superintendent Anton, I'd like to notify you that I will not be renewing my contract with Windham Elementary School for the 2022-2023 school year. I have accepted the administrative assistant position at Saxons River Elementary School to start once my current contract with WES ends on June 30th, 2022. The last 3 years at WES will always hold a special place in my life's journey. I am so thankful for the day I was hired to join the team at WES and the many hats I was able to wear while here. I hope I have been able to leave a little bit of joy and wonder to the students here these past 3 years. It has been my pleasure to be able to teach, befriend, and cherish each student and family that was part of my time at WES. I have volunteered to be on the hiring committee if needed and will certainly make myself as available as I can after my current contract ends to help transition the new individuals into my current role. Thank you for your support and guidance as I investigated getting my emergency license to teach this year. The whole experience has been a roller coaster, and I have learned so much about myself through the process. Teachers truly are angels, and the right ones can go above and beyond for their students. I hope in my 3 years at Windham, I can be considered as one of those Windham angels. Sincerely, Sarah Wonderly. That is my report.
Anybody have any questions for the principal?
I I don't know about you all, but that just hit me right in the feels. So I will say thank you to Miss Sarah at some point, and yeah, thanks, Mickey, for reading that. I could hear it in your voice that you're hitting the feels too. So
Thank you, Sarah. I know that that Mickey and Sarah have been talking about how this is going to be addressed to the children. And Mickey, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yep, we are. We're planning to have an all-school meeting tomorrow morning to talk with the students about it, figuring that some of them likely will hear about it tonight or may have just heard about it at that moment. So we plan to meet in the morning.
Would you prefer, and obviously people need to do what they feel comfortable doing.
Do whatever you need to do. It's fine.
But you're going to have a meeting tomorrow.
First thing in the morning.
Okay.
Right when they get off the bus.
I certainly wouldn't know how to navigate that. So
yeah, it's going to be tough.
Okay. But you know what? We're going to keep moving forward. So we've had lots of wonderful people here. Sarah has been an amazing addition. And there's, you know, I'm sure other amazing people that are going to come through here and see how fantastic we are. So, but I do understand that that's going to be tough tomorrow. So I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Do you need any support in the morning from anyone?
Thank you. That's a really nice question. I think we'll be okay. Thank you for asking.
I'm around the corner.
Awesome. That's great to know.
Thank you.
Yeah, if everyone starts to just start sobbing, then maybe we'll call you.
I think as positive as we
Thanks,
can
Sarah.
be is going to be what's key here.
Yep.
So,
And it's really exciting for her, you know.
Yeah.
As depressed and sad and crushed as I am, I'm super happy for her to get a normal job, you know, like a single job that she can do and focus on and be in the school where her kids went to school. And working for Laura is going to be insane. Bill knows how amazing she is, and that's going to be a super experience. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if Laura gets her into the classroom at some point as well, because she's just that good and she belongs in a classroom. But this, you know, this was just too much.
And the
that is what she wanted to do. More administrative work in the first place.
Correct.
And the being closer to your family. I get
And she's
that.
closer to home on top of it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits. It really makes a lot of sense.
I work a mile from my house, and I repeat that to myself on a regular basis. So it does. It means something. Okay, any other questions for the principal? All right, if not, Mr. Anton, you're on.
Sure, I'll keep it brief. I've provided you with a written report, but just a couple highlights. The weighting study has been a big interest for Windham, and it has moved through the first two major committees in the Senate. It has passed through the Senate Finance Committee and the Senate Education Committee, and no major changes were done, which is really fantastic. It now goes to the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, and as well as being discussed in the House. The design of the bill would come in FY24 if it passes this year, and it would run for 5 years. It would be implemented over a 5-year period where all the weights would be corrected, in Windham's case, to the good. Basically just adds equalized pupils to your count, which increases your denominator when you're looking at expenses and you get to a tax rate. So that'll be something I'll update the board on in April, and hopefully in May, I might even get some really good news to be able to update the board that it's become a law. But it has moved through the first gate, which is a big deal. So I wanted to inform the board of that. And then secondly, I just want to inform the board that you all know I've been working with our attorney and the SU attorney and the attorney for the Agency of Education and the finance director for the Agency of Education, working through the mechanism of supervisory union choice. They did like the design of the system, which is modeled after the public high school choice system. The latest roadblock is that has been approved by the legislature, and our idea to run it in the SU has not. So there is some liability and risk and gray area that I'm not comfortable recommending moving forward with any of the boards to the legality of it. However, it does give me a more direct path. I believe my summer is probably going to be involved speaking with legislators about how to create a bill in the fall that would essentially mimic the 9 through 12 public high school choice that allows supervisory unions to cross district lines while retaining ADM, which is exactly the model of public high school choice. But so I'll keep the board informed over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, but it will not be implemented SU-wide choice for elementary schools next year. Other than that, I was excited to come to Windham today. I have been in all the schools in the last week, and the joy and non-stress that seems to be permeating with the weather changing and people feeling more and more comfortable out in society. It is wonderful and heartening to see the respect that is given to the individuals that choose to wear a mask and choose not to wear a mask. The just welcoming nature that is in all the schools to allow this transition period to happen in a very respectful manner. But on the most part, it is, well, in the all part, everything that I'm getting reported to, it has been very smooth, very respectful, and very understanding as hopefully we as a society move to a different stage of wherever we have been in the past. So that's my report for the evening.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions for the superintendent? Again, I can't see hands, so.
You do not have any hands, so we're rolling and we're right on time, so keep going.
Next, approved financials, potential action taken. I'm sorry, I don't really understand what that is.
That's bills, warrants, pay warrants.
Oh, pay orders. Sorry. That's under a new heading. Pay orders, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I apologize. That's what you guys call it. Everybody else just calls them financials.
Oh, sorry. Yes, pay orders. I sent them out. There were only two. One was payroll, and one was our list of services, of which everything seemed just standard, except for I had one about DATCO. I'm sorry, I wasn't really sure what that was.
I don't know. So if you don't want to approve that one and you want to email Lori, I can give you an answer.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I'm going to guess Kehoe might know what DATCO is. DATCO. It's some sort of vendor.
DATTCO, sales and service cleanup fluid body kit. I'm wondering if it was for the bus or.
It's the bus.
It's the bus.
I was gonna say DATCO is a bus company. I know that much.
DATCO. Okay, so that's what it is. That's fine. That's the only one I had. Otherwise, everything seemed.
Russ has a question of procedure and timing.
Yep.
It's my understanding that in the town of Windham, when they have bills and other things come in, the select board votes to pay them. And they're not paid until the select board votes to pay them. And I do believe that the policy is a little bit different with the Windham School Board. I think payroll and insurance items are paid automatically, but other items that are not considered routine and ordinary, such as the monthly payments for insurance or payroll, I suspect that many of those invoices are signed and paid and sent out before it comes before the school board. And I'm wondering if that procedure should be modified.
So in the past, Russ, I can tell you that during board meetings, when we were all present, the pay orders would come into the meeting and I would be able to go over them at that time. That has not been the case since COVID. There have been some changes, but I am more than happy to talk to Lori Garland and address that at the April meeting.
Because I think there's a procedure where we can say things like the insurance payments and the salaries and other things should be an automatic okay, but when there's expenditures for repairs to the school bus and other items like that, or the $21,000 that went to Alliance Mechanical this last cycle, I'd like to know more information as to what was spent and why. It's
Okay.
just a matter of the board needs to be able to take some kind of control over the line items of the expenditures that we are asking to approve.
So, Bill, go ahead.
We just reorganized, so it'd probably be really smart for Beth to go ahead and talk with Lori about that procedure now that we're under a different operating environment as well. Beth, do you know what to talk to Lori about?
Yeah, I can talk to Lori about that because it's also this is our supervisor union that we are a part of. This is what they do. But yes, absolutely, I can talk to Lori if that makes you feel more comfortable, Russ. That's not a problem. So Russ, I don't want to discuss this further. Let me talk to Lori and then let's readdress it, please, in April. But otherwise, there's nothing in any of these pay orders that are suspect. So if we could please, if I could get a motion to approve the pay orders for March 15th, 2020, that would be great.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Aye.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much, and I'll have that conversation with Lori. Moving on to, Russ, you wanted to talk about the postage for the votes that were held. I spoke with the treasurer today. The WCSU has received an invoice from the town for reimbursement for what looks to be about $1,500 for postage, and it looks like we should be receiving that in a couple of weeks. And again, that's also something I can discuss with Lori just to be sure that's happening.
Thank you.
Okay, next is members of the public.
I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the last informational meeting too, in I guess the last one, and the last one, and the last one, going back to September, just wanted to touch base on the minutes from the informational meeting from August, and when those are going to come out, and if we as the public, since there was right to, I guess, I forget the word, sorry, it's that day. I'll use ad lib, the meeting minutes that were not there. Can the rest of the public ad lib the meeting minutes that other people are forgetting? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna let Bill answer that because this has been a long process, and Bill was the one that mentioned how people could weigh in. So Bill, can you address that, please?
Yes, so because we do not have a verbatim recording of the meeting, we do have the structure, the skeletal structure of the meeting. It's my recommendation to the board that they allow people to submit correspondence that would be attached to that meeting. So for example, if I, as a member of the Windham board, public, was at that meeting, I felt like I said what I said, instead of somebody trying to remember what they said, it's much better with procedure and recording for posterity is if just submitted as correspondence for that meeting. So my recommendation to the board was to allow Peter Barris, the minute taker, to reconstruct the skeletal legal aspects of the meeting, and then to allow individuals to go ahead and submit correspondence that are going to be attached to that meeting.
Okay, so I guess my question there would be, though I did not get to speak at that meeting, am I allowed to summarize my own version of that? I guess my own events or remembrance of that events in a written document to be attached to that meeting minutes, those meeting minutes.
So
yeah, that is the intent is to have the individual be able to document their correspondence. That's what I'm going to term it as, because that's a regular board meeting thing. However, that individual wants to do it. So it could be, this is what I remember and I'm submitting it. Or it could be, this is my issue and I'm submitting it. And then to collect those and to attach those to the minutes themselves.
So you're saying individual
because there is no way to recreate the meeting, and there is no way to.
He's really far behind us.
So, Bill, you're saying that individual people can describe what they heard, or they can describe what they wanted to say.
Okay, am I super far behind you? I heard what Beth just said. No, I'm saying that anybody can submit correspondence. However they decide to submit correspondence, whether it is a memory, whether it is, this is what I wanted to say, what it is, this is what I think I said, this is what I remember saying, as long as it's in the form of correspondence, then that allows for it to be attached to the minutes and it keeps it equal for all submitters.
Were you at the meeting?
I was at the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so what Erin's saying is she was at the meeting, but she did not share at the time. Can
Then I would suggest that Erin submits a correspondence letter that simply says, I was at the meeting, this is what I was going to say. Or I was at the meeting and this is what I want attached as my correspondence. It really doesn't matter as long as it's under the format of correspondence.
Okay.
The problem with trying to recreate minutes as an official document is you're taking liberties in people's words versus allowing them to submit correspondence. I think that's the fairest, cleanest way to have an official record of that meeting.
Okay, so I guess I just want to clarify, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to, and I'm going to use Abby just because Abby's in this room. So if I wanted to be, let's just say, the board could not get a hold of Abby to produce her correspondence for the minutes. But I wanted to touch base but was not able to talk back and respond to Abby's conversation, and wanted to talk about Abby's conversation. Can I write saying, Abby spoke about X, Y, and Z, and I wanted to talk about X, Y, and Z back to Abby's conversation?
So because it is an individual's choice about what to write, you can write whatever you want. You can write, Bill Antone is the best looking bald man that is over 50 that I've seen in a long time, and I wish he was at that meeting. And that will be acceptable.
That is definitely true today. I'm totally on board with that. And I understand. Question is,
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to say it's got to be the individuals, whatever they want to put in, and put their name at it, and then we'll make that part of the minutes.
So it can be recorded.
Those are the minutes, and those are for people to transcribe, whatever, understand as they see fit. Okay, that's fair.
You got a hand with Sarah.
No. It
all
was,
clear.
it's good to know. So thank you, and thank you so much, Peter Barris. I think did Peter leave?
Be smart.
Thank you, Peter, thank you, Peter, for just staying the course. We really appreciate it.
All right, so I have a question regarding the minutes too from August. Just quickly, does it have to be in writing? Because that's been one of the things that's been inhibiting me from getting mine in, is just because I feel like it's such a daunting task to do writing. So I was wondering if I would be able to like talk to somebody and articulate it with my words versus my hands,
No,
or does it
It's going to have to be in writing.
Okay.
It has to be in writing because that's how the minutes are kept for the future. So if you want to speak into we used to call it dragon speak, and it just go ahead and it transcribes what you're saying and submit that, fine. But it's gotta be in writing.
Okay, I recently, very recently, because my keyboard died, learned how to talk to my laptop and it types for me. So I think I'm gonna have to try that. Awesome. All right, thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Anybody else from members of the public? Bill, can I be a member of the public briefly? Only because there's just a couple things that I said I would discuss, and I'm sorry that I didn't add it. I did get your education legislative report. Is this something, the part about the waiting study, is this something I want to send out to our town website for people to see, or do I want to wait until we get an actual confirmation?
Oh, absolutely. You can go ahead and send it out. It's all public documents. All done is it's part of being a member of the Vermont School Boards Association.
All right.
And they produce a recap. So absolutely send it out.
All right, so yeah, we'll just be giving people the chance to understand what's happening. The other thing is Michael Pelton had, I'm sorry for correspondence, I missed this, I have it printed here. Michael Pelton had sent out an article about how school boards can collaborate with city councils to achieve goals. It's something that I said that I would mention. It's something that we're hoping to talk about further. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if Michael, if you want to send this to Ellen, or if you want to just start with the select board. Michael is the new select board member, and then we can go from there. But I did say I would discuss it. So school boards and the select board basically working together to move forward. That's kind of our new, we've got the lunch program, and now we're moving on to working with the select board together, which I think would be brilliant. So thank you, Michael. Did you want to speak to that at all?
No, I really don't have too awful much to say. I just think it would be a good idea for the two boards to collaborate when and if we can.
Yep, I agree. Thank you very much for that. So I did print that out, and I'm sure, yeah, we'll discuss it further. Is there anybody else from members of the public? If not, we are moving into executive session unless I've missed something.
We do not need an executive session, and you are right on time at 7:20 for adjournment.
Okay, anybody else have something they want to share? Otherwise, we're meeting again on April 12th at 6 p.m. I really appreciate everybody being here.
Just make sure everyone's aware that's the second Tuesday, not the third Tuesday, because we're on vacation the third Tuesday.
Oh, dynamite. I will send that out to Ellen McDuffie.
I have something. It was a struggle for me to find the link. Actually, I had to type it off of my phone, which is in a permanent ongoing thing in my calendar. So it was hard for me to like type it into my laptop. So is there any way that we could get an email link moving forward, just so that we can have it in our inbox and be easily accessible?
So I link the agenda. I link the Zoom in the agenda. So
Right.
I'll just ask Mickey to make sure that it gets sent out as a agenda. If you have the agenda, you have the link. And you
I
should
don't
just be
have
able
the
to-
agenda.
Okay, well,
Is it because we're not enrolled in the school?
so you just need to let Mickey know that you want to be on that mailing list, and you'll be okay.
Mickey, put us on the mailing list, please.
That and
I did post it on the Windham website with the links separate, so people could just click on it, so they didn't have to cut, paste, or do anything. All they did just need to click on the link.
Did you hear that, Sarah?
I heard the last part. Where is it, Aaron?
On the Windham, Vermont website. I
Oh,
take it, screenshot it when I get the agenda, put it up on the Windham website, cut and paste the link, so you can just click it.
And doesn't Ellen McDuffie?
Great.
Ellen McDuffie, are you on the town website? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, Ellen doesn't go on Facebook.
Oh no, Ellen McDuffie sends an email blast, so it might be good to stop in at the town office and talk to Ellen and be put on the email blast, because she sends out the agenda.
Awesome. Perfect.
Or it's on Facebook.
Thank you.
All right, unless there's anything else, we're gonna adjourn at 7:24. I can't see the clock.
Close enough. 7:23.
7:24. Oh, 7:23.
Or, yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.